If you want a lesson in humility, ask any hardened survivalist what truly keeps you alive when everything else falls apart. Weapons? Useful. Shelter? Critical. But water? Water is the non-negotiable king. And here's the twist that grabs every serious historian by the collar. During World War II, when nations were trading fire across continents, some of the most effective survival methods weren't born from cutting-edge labs or secret weapons programs. One of the most reliable, life-saving techniques came from something so deceptively simple that even today's gear-obsessed prepper crowd hasn't managed to beat it. A method built under pressure, refined in chaos, and most importantly, still capable of outperforming modern improvisations when everything goes wrong. Let's get straight into the good stuff. No fluff, no fantasy, just one of the most underappreciated wartime survival hacks ever created, and why it still deserves respect. Why World War II soldiers trusted slow sand filtration more than most modern tools. When the average person thinks of World War II, they picture tanks rolling across Europe or dogfights tearing up the skies. What they rarely picture is a medic crouched over a makeshift filter, fighting an enemy far more relentless than any infantry unit: contaminated water. Boiling was always the first choice, but boiling came with two huge problems. Smoke gave away your position, and fuel wasn't always there. Armies on the move needed something quiet, repeatable, and sustainable. That's where slow sand filtration came in, a technique older than many civilizations but sharpened into a wartime science during the 1940s. World War II field engineers, medics and partisans didn't just shovel sand in a box and pray for the best. They created layered purification beds that formed what they called a biological purification zone. Over time, this layer became so effective that entire units relied on it when dysentery and disease threatened to wipe out more troops than bullets ever could. The brilliance here is that the system ran without chemicals, without machinery, and without constant attention. It worked because life itself did the heavy lifting. How the biological layer turned sand into a microscopic defense system. Here's the part that blows people away, even seasoned survivalists. The magic of slow sand filtration isn't the sand. It's the biological film that forms at the top over several days of use. World War II engineers gave it a name that sounds like something out of a biology class: the Schmutzdecke. Basically a thin, gelatinous microlayer that becomes a living shield. Once water sits over fine sand long enough, beneficial microorganisms colonize that surface. They don't just trap contaminants, they consume harmful pathogens, they break down organic debris, they neutralize threats invisible to the naked eye. And once that biological layer matures, the filter becomes dramatically more effective than its simple appearance suggests. Troops in North Africa documented how these sand beds often became their only dependable source of drinkable water during outbreaks. Units protected their filters the same way they protected ammunition. Disturb the layer and you'd lose days of filtration strength. Respect it and you'd have clean, reliable water for months. That's the wartime genius. A system that gets better the longer you use it. Now, if you're wondering how you can build a World War II-style filter today using just basic materials, well, you really don't need a military crate or an ammunition box at all. All you need is a container deep enough to hold a few layers. A barrel, a steel drum, or even a heavy bucket. Whatever you've got that can handle a bit of weight will do the job just fine. So, here's how World War II engineers would want you to set it up. Start with drained gravel at the bottom, washed rock that creates a good, stable base. Next, add a layer of coarse sand to prevent upward migration, and then top it with at least 1/2 metre of very fine, extremely clean sand. That's the bit that actually slows water down enough for purification to occur. And most importantly, you must maintain a standing layer of water above the sand. That's the nursery, where the biological layer grows. Now, on day 1, don't expect miracles. But by day 7, you start seeing the power. By week 2, you've built a silent, fuel-free purification system that can operate indefinitely with only minimal maintenance. When the flow slows down, you simply scrape just the top few millimetres of sand, never the whole thing. That was the procedure on multiple fronts during the war, and honestly, that's still the procedure today. Now, why does this method still outperform so many modern improvisations? Well, let's be real here. No sand filter is going to fix seawater, and none of them can neutralize fuel spills or chemical runoff. This is a biological purification method, perfect for rivers, streams, ponds, wells, and reservoirs with moderate contamination, but not for chemical disasters. But for everyday survival and long-term grid-down scenarios, it's gold. The filter dramatically reduces bacterial and protozoan load before you apply a secondary treatment like chlorine tablets or boiling. During the war, combining sand filtration with iodine was standard practice. Today, you can do the same with boiling when fuel allows. It's a layered system, not a single step. Modern municipal systems still rely on this exact logic. Slow sand beds first, chemical disinfectants second. Apply this knowledge today and you unlock a purification strategy immune to supply chain failures, mechanical breakdowns, or lack of electricity. Homesteaders can run this filter during power outages. Explorers can establish long-term semi-permanent water stations. Even urban survivalists can set up stacked bin versions on balconies. One of the smartest strategies is building 2 filters side by side. One active, one maturing. Rotate them the way Allied engineers rotated their field stations. It's not nostalgia, it's practicality built by history. Why this World War II technique matters more than ever. The world learned the hard way that survival depends as much on water discipline as any weapon or fortification. And the fact that a sandbed used in the 1940s still competes with modern tech says something important. Some of the smartest tools we have come from generations who didn't have the luxury of waste. For historians, this is a reminder that innovation thrives under scarcity. For survivalists, it's an anchor skill worth mastering, because when everything else goes dark, a properly built, slow sand filter keeps working. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button for more deep-cut survival history and share this video so others can rediscover the wartime knowledge that still keeps people alive today.